Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Lori Severino from Drexel University School of Education. I'm a special education professor, and I just want to take some time to talk about reading aloud and the work they're doing, but also to talk to you about why it's so important, the work that Angela and her group are doing with reading aloud. So one of the things I want to talk about is that hidden disability. And when I'm talking about hidden, I mean it's hard to see in students, especially young students, unless you're specifically looking for those types of issues. So when we're talking about a reading disability, we're talking about a specific learning disability categorized in the state of Pennsylvania, but a lot of that boils down to dyslexia, even though we don't call it dyslexia here, we call it a specific learning disability in reading. We want to talk about things that we might see in students that kind of tell us what the issues are, right? So it could be that they really are a little bit older elementary, and they don't like to read. They don't want to be doing any activities that involve reading. But in younger children, we might see things like they're having difficulty rhyming to start, and they're having difficulty remembering the names of the letters and the sounds that go with those letters. So these are indicators that there might be an issue later on when it comes to reading words. And when that happens, we want to make sure that we can get in there early, figure out what the issues are, and then address those problems with explicit systematic instruction. That's really key. So systematic instruction on teaching the English language. So the syllable types, some of the spelling rules we have in English, and just thinking about teaching them the code. That's really important. And if we can do that, we actually have shown, the research has shown that the brain connections and pathways change. When that happens, their ability to read the words happens faster, more accurately, more instantly. And therefore, they have shown by doing fMRIs that in the brain, it starts to look like a typical reading brain in a typical child. So we want to make sure we're really getting that kind of instruction early on so that we don't create some of the later issues that happen with older children that haven't been given the proper instruction. So we're talking about late elementary school, early middle school, into high school. What we see is a diminishing self-esteem. They start to feel really stupid. They don't want to participate in those activities because it makes them feel stupid, even though it has nothing to do with them other than what's happening in their brain, which when given specific explicit instruction that's needed, it does change their brain. So we know that good instruction is going to make that happen, which is great with reading aloud because Angela and her team are really working at providing access to free or low-cost tutoring in those explicit instruction methods, which is fabulous, and getting to them in the early grades, which is the sooner the better, to help those kids catch up with their peers in reading. We also want to remember that those students might have really awesome strengths in creativity. And so let's also help them focus on the good things that they have going on and their interests. And, maybe they're really good at math. Maybe they love to do science projects. Maybe they're great at art or singing or music. Let's also celebrate all the things they can do really, really well and help them stand out from the crowd. But then let's give them the instruction that they need to prevent later self-esteem issues that can lead to, in adolescence, could lead to alcohol and drug use, which also can lead to a school to prison pipeline, which if you haven't been following Hildebrand Pelzer on Twitter or social media or TED Talks, he really talks a lot about this school to prison pipeline for those kids that don't get the instruction that they need. they really learn to hate school, and then they're not attending school, and then they're getting into activities that might get them in trouble with the law. And then they end up incarcerated and not getting services there either. And so we're trying to change that. Let's get them the services they need as soon as we can identify that issue. And so thanks to Reading Aloud for doing all that work, and to Angela and her team. If you haven't provided any kind of donation to them, it will be put to great use, because they take all of their dollars and put it toward that explicit instruction that students need at a young age. So any little bit that you can give helps. And it's a really great foundation that you can be assured that your money is going a long way.